Stunning new report reveals that intelligence officials believe that at least 300 American citizens are now fighting side by side with ISIS militants in both Iraq and in Syria. All of this as President Obama weighs a decision now to launch new airstrikes that would target the Islamic State on the Syrian side of the border. Arizona Republican John McCAIN is on both the Senate Armed Services and Foreign Relations committees, and the senator joins us now. Good morning, Senator. Good to have you here today.
Good morning. Thank you.
What do you make of that shocking report that 300 American passport holders are fighting alongside ISIS right now?
It's not surprising, and there will be more. And the thing that's more disturbing is there are thousands of Europeans. And as you know, the Europeans can travel to the United States on a passport. They don't require a visa. And so there's no doubt that the threat is dramatically increasing, and it was predicted and predictable. And unless the president comes up with some kind of strategy, articulating what his goal is, then I think we will continue to flail, and you'll continue to see ISIS maintain and expand their influence both there and throughout the region.
Yeah, we have this shocking example of this man, Douglas MacArthur McCain, ironically, who was killed on the battlefield in Syria. He brings this story home. We're hearing from his cousin, who's saying that she can't believe that he would be involved in anything like this. But here's just one individual, and we see this portrait of potentially so many more. What do you make of it?
I make of it that decisions have consequences, and this is a feckless foreign policy that has allowed this situation to deteriorate. You can go back to our failure to leave a residual force behind, which we could have, no matter what is now being said by the administration. Decision not to attack Syria after the chemical weapons usage. And by the way, there's now evidence of chlorine gas usage by Bashar Assad. And we need to have airstrikes. We need to help the Free Syrian Army. We need to help the Kurds. We need to orchestrate and assist a reconciliation between Sunni and the new government. But most of all, the president needs to tell the American people what our strategy is. There is no strategy. They flail from one issue to another, reacting rather than acting. Martha, could I just add, interesting events took place this week. One was a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. No American involvement. Attacks by UAE and Egypt, air attacks in Libya against the Islamists there, without even telling the United States of America. Decisions have consequences, and when the president said the United States was going to attack Syria because of the chemical weapons issue and then didn't, believe me, these countries decided they would have to go their own way.
I think a lot of people in history will look back at that moment as a real pivot point and a turning point in the way that the United States is perceived around the globe, and we may be experiencing the result, I should say, of that. The president, when he spoke to the American Legion yesterday, and he said something that may go back to his reasoning for pulling out of all these countries in the way that we did in the first place. And he mentioned the fact that, troops on the ground can feed extremism in these areas. I'm curious what you think about that comment.
I just don't understand a lot of it. I understand why he became president, because of his opposition to the war in Iraq. But every president has made mistakes. George W. Bush in 2006 fired Rumsfeld, brought in some smart people, and we developed, like David Petraeus, and we developed the surge. Bill Clinton, after Srebrenica, went to Bosnia. Every president, even Jimmy Carter, after the Russian invasion of Afghanistan, this president doesn't seem to learn and understand that you can adjust to the new realities, and he's not leading. And that has created vacuums. I'd like to see the President of the United States talk to the American people, talk to Congress. What are our goals? How are we going to, and what's the strategy to achieve it? And that is what's missing here, and it's a vacuum that is being filled by bad people. And again, there will be more threats to the United States of America because of this growing ISIS capability, which is attracting radical young men, particularly from all over the world.
Given the killing, the execution of James Foley.
Yeah.
Does the president have the right to act before going to Congress? Do you believe, under the War Powers Act, how much does Congress need to sign off on what he will do at this point?
That what the president should do, and maybe right after Labor Day, is go on national television, describe to the American people the threat, describe what we need to do, and why we need to do it, and with an overall strategy, and say, I'm going to go to Congress and ask for authorization, and I hope you will support me. If he speaks directly to the American people about this threat, I'm confident that the American people will support action, and I'm not talking about massive troops on the ground or an invasion of Syria. But for God's sake, please help the Free Syrian Army. I am heartbroken, Martha. I am heartbroken knowing these people that I met with that are now dead because we would not help them.
Well, you have been talking about the carnage in Syria for 2 years now, Senator, and what's been going on there. And we've just watched the evolution of this threat as it has unfolded to where we are today. Senator John McCain, always a pleasure to speak to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
We'll
Martha.
see you next time.
Thank you.